Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation. Our group name is We Need Five Switches, and our game name is Crazy Farm. My name is Zhu Mengyao.
My name is Yi.
My name is Wang Zeyu.
My name is Ziyue.
My name is Chen Yichang.
Okay, let us talk about our parts separately. Okay. Hello, it's me again. My name is Zhu Mengyao. So firstly, let me introduce a little bit on our game settings. Basically, our game is an online multiplayer party game. It's suitable for friends when they are having a party. And according to our background, the farm is quite popular and overwhelming. Hence, the task of the players is to strut their stuff to complete each order in a limited time and as soon as possible. That's all for the background part. Let me pass to my partner to continue this presentation.
Hello everyone, I'm Yi. Now let me introduce the game controls of our level 1. There are 2 players in our game. First of all, the player 1 will appear on the right side of the map. And in the middle of the map, there are some tables which the characters cannot cross them. So we use WASD or arrow keys to move the character and use the spacebar to pick up the pumpkins or watermelon. Now is watermelon. We press spacebar like this. Yeah, we got the watermelon, and also press spacebar to put it on the table. The player 2 will come to get the watermelon placed by player 1 by using press spacebar like this, and then put it into the juicer. So this is an icon that displays what inside the juicer. And also we get the water by pressing spacebar, and also use spacebar to put it into the juicer. Now we can press Alt key to make the juice. If we keep away from the juicer, the progress bar will pause. So we return and press the Alt key again. Then it continues, so we get the juice. Also press the spacebar to pick the juice and send it to the truck. Press spacebar and provide it to the customer. So all the controls we use are WASD and arrow keys to move the character, and the spacebar to interact with the objects, and the Alt key to realize the making function.
Hi, my name is Wang Zeyu, and I will talk about the objective of our game. So basically, the objective of this game is to collect as much coins as possible before this level is over. And to achieve this, you need to complete the order, which is shown in the right upper corner of the screen. And to complete the order, you need to collect some materials. And do some operations on them according to the tips provided by the orders board. And after doing that, you will get the finished product, which is needed to be delivered to the customers in the truck. And then you will get coins, which will be shown in the left lower corner of the screen. So you just need to repeat these steps before the time is over, and the game rating will be generated according to how many coins you get from this level. The rate is from 1 stars to 3 stars, and if you count if you can't reach to a certain amount of coins, you will get 0 star. And that's all my part.
So I'm Zheng Ziyue. So let me introduce some of my part in the first stage. So first I want to mention the flow and the cooperation that we made. Yeah, the game flow is so complex, but we find the path that we can achieve our goal faster. So the path is to decrypt a similar game. So our game is similar to the Overcooked, this one. So we decrypt Overcooked and get the model and the coding here. So we get the model and the coding of Overcooked. So this is our first step of So where the Overcooked resource? So all those one is the Overcooked resource here, and the coding is here, and the coding is here. We analyze the coding and import some of the modeling that make our scene, yeah, more completely. So this is the first one, decrypt a game. And the second one, distribute the work. So in our group, Wang Zeyu do the UI, and Yi Dian and Zhu Mongyao do the scene and the character, and I and Zheng Ziyue and Chen Yichan do the coding. So we have a flow. So the first person do the UI first, and Yi Dian and Zhu Mongyao do the scene and the character, and Zheng Ziyue and Chen Yichan do the coding. And the third one, that our what we do in the first stage. So first one, 3.1 here, the first stage, we should do a character. We should begin from the character. So we do the character demo. This is the coding part. Actually, it's the scene. The scene is the first one. The second one is the coding. We start from coding. We start from the character, then to the interaction. But we met so many problems in the interaction. The problem is that, so the script and the script communication is complicated, and if we don't well organize the script variable, so we will call it here, call it there, and we can't find so what we did before. We can't read what we did before. So the interaction part is so important. So the interaction between the script. So the solution is to reconstruct the code and use the singleton. So after we write the first version, this one is the first version. We are don't satisfied with our what we do before, because you see, so the animation and the controller is together. So what we should do is separate them, to separate with each small script here, the small script here. So separate and split the script and the logic. So this is firstly what we should do. So reconstruct and separate them, make it become the function. So after reconstruct, so now it's better. The former one is too many bugs here. So the interaction is the problem. The thing that also need to be mentioned is the state machine. We should also split the state machine, because state, they should combine the state, but not keep them together. For example, so this one is our first day here. So complicated and hard to understand. And if you do the logic will very complex. And here is our second one step after reconstruction. It is very clear and it is easy to operate. So this is the state machine. Also split the state and the function. That make it clear and readable. The last one is the commands and the version control. So we still not get accustomed to use the version control and the commands, but I really try to so do this, because I think this is important try, that if we go to the company, we go to the internship, so we should cooperate with others, but we still not get accustomed to it. It do not pay a lot of so usage for our progress now. So this is about the interaction part. The second part is the character. Character is relatively easy because the state is clear. So you should get familiar about some the skeleton. Maybe the skeleton, the animation. Use normal animator can solve the problem, but maybe the next part we will use the blend tree or the another layer. But relatively easy because the state is still clear. So the character here, we can move the character and do some simple interaction. Move the character. Oh, the highlight here about the shader. The shader one, I copied the code from the internet. Yeah, but I think it is one of the part. Actually, I am very so curious about the shader because it make a lot great usage. You see the highlight here, we can pick it here and put it here, pick it here, put it here, and the melon is also. So this is about the character movement. We can make it smoother. So this is what we want to do next. The last part here is about the reuse. So the reuse is very important because so we have 5 people. We need to do 5 level. But if the script can't reuse, that we write a level, we should rewrite the code again. so it doesn't make sense. So we need to reuse. But how to reuse? The first thing that we can write utility, the to class, that we can so make the common function in it, function inside. So the utility in the reconstruction, I also use the utility here. So the old version no utility, so the utility here, so we can reconstruct, we can so make the common code inside that everyone can call it. The second one, consider more, just consider more. That the idea of the inheritance, we can make the father class like the item. We have some basic function. This one, so if we restart again, the thing will go to the original position. So this is the detail that we need to reuse the script. And the item place here, so I have a register mechanism that register the game object to the game manager, that we can find each object, and it will deregister himself also. So this is the idea of the reuse. Maybe the register inheritance. So maybe the wrong spell. Register himself. Inherit. Register. And the third one is try to use the same structure of object. That you make a prefab. The structure of the prefab should always be same. That you can attach the script in all kinds of this prefab. So this is the idea. You see, so all the this pumpkin here, we add the same script because they have a same structure. Also here, the melon here, the same structure and the same script. And here we can just register the name, and it will show the actual game object from the the game management from the other script. So this is the idea of the reuse.
My name is Chen Yichan, so now I will explain to you the function of each script. So firstly is a player state. There's a in the player state, we set the player ID to identify the player, but we haven't used this currently. In the player state, in order to make the player switch between each state, we declare 7 states totally, but currently we haven't used this chopping yet. For the locking, this is when before the player start, the player state will be set to locking. So when the game start, we will set the player state to normal, and when the player touching the item, that is to say when the player approaches those interactable item, the player state will set to be touching item. So for example, the player is approaching to things like these pumpkins or these watermelons, the player state will be set to the touching item. The touching place is when the player approaches to the desk, to this desk, the player state will be set to touching place. The holding place is when the player not only approaches the desk but also holding an item. The holding is just when the player holding the item. So secondly, in the player controller, this script is mainly used to control the player movement. So you can see here. Also, this will used to make the player switch between each state. The initial state is normal. So now I will show you the animator panel. So in the animator panel, you can see that we set totally is working hold and is idle hold 3 bool conditions to make the player switch between the 4 state: the idle, the working holding, and the idle holding. The 4 state. Yeah. So this is to set the bool values according to the player state and the player speed. So in the player manager, this script is attached on the player. So you can see here the player manager. So this is used to hold those objects that can interact with the player. So all these objects that can interact with the player. So other object will reference this instance to change the value inside this script. So in the item, we declare a item type. The item type has 2 types. One is pick, which means those objects that can be picked. Also, the another type is a desk that can be used to place object. Also, the following is to detect whether the player is enter or exit this interactable object, and we will change the state of the player accordingly. The item grab is specifically used to is attached to game object that can be picked, that can be grabbed, like this pancake, this watermelon. All this can be picked. So you can see this item grab here. Yeah, the item grab script. All these objects are attached to this script, and the item state has 2. One is picked and another is not picked. Also, as the item has a lot of, so we set different types. So here we have pumpkin, the watermelon, the water, and the juice. So the item grab enable us to grab items. So here, when the player presses the spacebar, we will be able to take the item up on the hand. So also, when the player is holding the item and once it press the spacebar, which means the player want to release the object. So we will release the object and also set the animator value of the player, and set back the item state to not picked. Yeah, this is correct. This is a function for take the item up. For the item place, this is specifically used to detect control the desk. This is to attached on the desk. So you can see here the desk attached the item place. So the desk has 3 states. so it can have no object or have object, or the object that on the desk is juice. So this item place derived from the parent item. So all this object is that can interact with the desk. So once the player enters the desk area, the player will be able to put the item on the desk. As the desk has 3 states, so we will all write the functions according to the 3 states. So when there is no object, the player will be able to put the item on the desk. And when the desk has an object, so we cannot put object anymore, but we can grab the object from the desk. So when the desk has object, we will be able to make the object to the player's hand. In the juicer controllers, this I will show you here. The juicer controller is this. So you can see here, this is a trigger area that once the player enters these areas, the player will be able to producing the juice. So when the player holding an item and take and put the item to the juicer, so the top of the juicer will show the 2D icon of the corresponding putted object. So you can see here, according to the item name, we will set the corresponding 2D image on it, and also set the state of the player. But when the player begin to produce the juice, so the player will have to press the ALT, the Alt keyboard, to make it to proceed. So once it be produced, the player will be able to producing the juice. So we use an image fill amount to show the process of producing the process of making the juice. So once the fill amount equals to 1, the juice will be shown on the desk. So in the cat trigger, I will show you here. The cat trigger is in this area. You can see this cat trigger. Sorry. Cat trigger. Yeah, this. So this is a trigger area. So once the player enters this trigger area, we will be able to put the juice to the customers, and also the scores will be added 20, and the corresponding receipt will be released. In the game manager, in fact, I have to say that it should be this game manager, more specifically, it should be UI manager, because I mainly used the game manager to control the UI of the game object of this level 1, and also some audio source. So that's all.